Okay, guys, so I think that's a good time to start now. So before we start, let's have some introduction, please. Then we'll move to the topics that I already shared on the group, right? We'll talk about those topics. So that would be your 2 days free session. Okay. Now, so guys, before we start, just wanted to know about you or each other, and if anyone previously worked on Panorama or a Palo Alto firewall, any experience if you want to share with us. So can anyone start with your introduction?
Yeah, hi sir. Nice to happy to connect with you.
Yeah.
Good evening, and not experienced in that firewall side, but currently working as a desktop support engineer in Fujitsu.
Okay. Okay.
And now only I'm studying about the firewall and the networking side. So now I have to know about the firewall Palo Alto.
Okay. Okay.
Bangalore location I'm working.
Okay, you are working for Bangalore location, yeah, because
Yeah.
you know with Fujitsu we have lots of opening for this Noida location as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Anyone else who want to share about us, about you?
Manish is Devaka. I am working in SQL as a network security engineer. I have taken training for Palo Alto earlier,
Okay.
2 years back, but not got a chance to work on Palo Alto. But working on checkpoint, FortiGate, firewalls. Yeah. So I'm working for Noida location, SCL 126 Noida.
Okay. 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 So what is the project name if you want to share with us?
Previously working for LFAB, Lens for Sectinger, that is a Swedish bank customer, and now I'm working for ONE customer, which is a French banking customer.
Okay, banking customer.
Yeah.
So you're working as a L2 or 2.3 or?
L2 plus 2.3. Technical specialist.
Yes, got it. Recently in July, I left HCL. I was also working as a 2.3, but you know, in my project, we were managing lots of Palo Alto firewalls around. We were having more than 400 Palo Alto firewalls and 2 Panoramas that we were managing.
So currently on which company you are?
I switched to one of the Bangalore-based company, which is confidential, I think. It's not a good time to share.
No. Yeah.
Okay, anyone else who wants to talk about its introduction? Anyone else, guys? Iqbal, Pradeep, Raju. Raju is my existing student. He already done Palo Alto firewall from my one of my course. Okay. Yeah, Raju, so can you please tell us about yourself? If I am audible to you.
Yes, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, this is Raju. Just have I'm working on the network on the basics of the network. Just have completed my Palo Alto course with Manish. Just have I want to continue the just Panorama
Right.
with
Okay. Okay. Anyone else? Okay.
Hi Manish, this is Asu.
Yeah. Sure.
Currently, I'm working in IBM as a cybersecurity engineer.
Okay.
We manage checkpoint firewall, source net, destination net, installation and upgrade from R8010 to R81. It configure site-to-site VPN, remote access VPN,
Okay.
and troubleshooting, like sometimes we create a VPN profile, add into VPN profile. But, I am new into Palo Alto, so I'm very interested. I want to know what is the process to enroll in this course, what is the course, what is the duration time.
Sure, we'll discuss all those things definitely.
Okay.
For sure. Okay. So actually this course is Panorama, not Palo Alto, but
Okay.
Panorama is different machine. If I talk about
like as same in checkpoint MDS or MDM, and in
Yes.
FTD like FMC. We manage police. I don't know.
Yeah, so in your checkpoint we have 3-tier architecture, right? In 3-tier
Yes.
architecture you have one management server and gateway
Smart
security
console.
gateway. Yeah.
Yes.
So in Palo Alto, Panorama is your management server and your security gateway is your firewall. But with Panorama, we have lots of option, or we can control almost every function of a firewall with Panorama, right? And if I talk about deployment mode, Panorama works in a different way as compared to your checkpoint management server. So that's a totally different platform. When the architecture is also different for this
Yes.
firewall.
Yes.
Okay, guys. So let's start with our topics. Okay. Before we start with our topics, let us understand what is Panorama. So because but I can see that we have mixed kind of crowd. So few people don't know about Palo Alto firewall. So why don't we start with Palo Alto, then we'll move to Panorama. Okay. So again, as you heard that Palo Alto is a next generation firewall, right? Like all other firewalls nowadays, almost each and every firewall is next generation firewall. Now, next generation firewall means the firewall working on layer 7, right? Means you can filter traffic till layer 7, right? On application layer, you can filter traffic. If I talk about few features, okay, let's say there are few features like user ID, right, which is introduced by Palo Alto only into the market. So if I talk about stateful firewall inspection, okay. So guys, we have two type of firewalls, right? Stateless and stateful. The stateful which maintains a state of any incoming and outgoing traffic, right? So I believe we have all the participants here who already know any one of the firewall apart from Palo Alto, or maybe you already know Palo Alto, right? But these are very general terms, right? Stateless and stateful. So stateless and stateful. So as I already explained, every firewall nowadays is a stateful firewall, okay? And this inspection type, like stateful firewall inspection, that is introduced by your checkpoint, right? So checkpoint introduced this feature, not a feature, but this concept to the market. And once checkpoint introduced that feature, nowadays every firewall has this feature, okay, or this option, or means all of the firewalls are now maintaining a session, right? So let's not talk about deeply on that. Okay, so basically we are here for Panorama, right? So before we talk about Panorama, let me talk about few more things on Palo Alto. Okay, so if I show you the syllabus which I generally follow, right? So I have lots of students. I've already trained lots of students on this syllabus. So this syllabus is part of two courses, right? basically your Palo Alto has two courses. One is PCNSA. If I go to Palo Alto website, paloaltonetwork.com, we have two certifications. Okay. So one is PCNSA, okay, and another one is PCNSE. It is your technical certification. Okay, so I need to find that. Okay, so basically we have two certifications, PCNSA and PCNSE. Okay, so PCNSA is your NSA means this is Palo Alto Network Certified Security Administrator. Okay, and PCNSE is Palo Alto Network Certified Security Engineer. That is your expert level, I would say. Okay, network security engineer. So this is the advanced version, SC. Okay, and PCNSA is the normal administrator level of course. So during my classes, this syllabus has a combination of PCNSA and PCNSE. Okay, there are few topics which I have added from PCNSE syllabus because if I talk about my experience with Palo Alto Firewall, so I had around more than 5-year experience on dealing with Palo Alto Firewall, Cisco ASA, SRX firewalls, but I did not get chance to work on FortiGate as of now. But so mostly I manage these type of firewalls, these firewalls only. And if I talk about my teaching experience, if any one of you have visited my channel, you can see I have 2-3-year-old Palo Alto videos. So from past more than 3 years, I'm teaching this Palo Alto. Okay, so now I'm starting. This is our first batch for Panorama because lots of people saying that, sir, please start Panorama as well. So now now I'll be introducing this Panorama, right? So this would be our first batch for Panorama. Okay, and for Palo Alto, I have trained lots of people, even outside of India as well. Okay, so this is your Palo Alto syllabus. Okay, so this syllabus includes PCNSE and PCNSE both. Okay, I'll share the copy of this syllabus if you want. And this is your Panorama syllabus, right? So Panorama is a management server. So if I talk about MNC, right? In MNC kind of environment, you will always see Panorama, right? If you have 2-3 firewalls, 4-5 firewalls, then you can directly access the firewall and you can manage it. But if you have more than 10 firewall, 20 firewall, and more than that, in that case, you must know Panorama. And if you are writing Panorama in your CV, definitely it would be a plus point. Why? Because nowadays most of the configurations are managed by Panorama only, right? Because in company what is happening, let's say you have one firewall, another firewall. Okay, let's say this is firewall and this is your Panorama. Okay, and with Panorama you are sitting here on your laptop. Okay, now
Okay, so joined.
this Panorama is connected with multiple firewalls, right? So what you will get is you will get read-only access to these firewalls. Read only, right? So maybe according to your position, you may not get administrator password for these gateways. Okay, it might be possible. So what will happen in that case? Let me mute all the participants. Okay. So you will get the read-only access for these all gateways, but you will get this panorama access with all the rights, right? So let's say you want to push policy, you want to upgrade a specific firewall, right? You want to push policies, right? Even with Panorama, what we can do is we can push policies to multiple gateways with a single Panorama, with a single click. Okay, we'll talk about that. We'll do a lab setup today. We'll do so many things. Even I will show you the GUI, how does it looks like, okay, and all. So before we move to that point, let's talk about how does it looks like, means how your physical device looks like. Okay, so if I talk about firewalls, if you want to see firewall, you can go to this option, go to paloaltonetworks.com, products. This is your next generation firewall option. Okay, so now they have updated their website, so you might see some changes because I keep on visiting this website. So so these are your Palo Alto firewalls, right? So if you want, you can learn more about them. Okay, so we have 4 type of Palo Alto firewalls, if you can see here. One is cloud based, okay, which is uh, you will get one VM image, okay, cloud based, and VM series is also there, and CN series and Palo Alto series, PA series. So generally in our branches we deploy this Palo Alto series. Okay, CN series we rarely use. VM series we can deploy on Azure Cloud, AWS Cloud, and all. Okay, now today we are talking about uh, Panorama. So let's not talk about firewalls. For firewalls, I already uh, have one video, okay, demo video. If you want to watch about that firewall, I will share that link as well. So let's go to Panorama now. Okay, so now your Panorama, again, you can deploy a Panorama as a virtual device, right? If you want, you can deploy it on cloud, or if you want to deploy it on your physical data center, you can do that. Okay, so simply you have to purchase the physical device for that. Okay, so if I show you few of the devices, so these are the features basically, okay, provided by your, if you use Panorama, right? So unified policy management, you can centrally manage the policy, right? Let's say you have cluster, okay, let's say you have bunch of firewalls. Let's say in cluster you have 10 firewalls. So what you can do with Panorama, what you can do is you can push uh, push any rule, any policy change, or any NAT policy or any other changes, right, from Panorama directly to the cluster. Okay, and your Panorama also provides you centralized visibility, right, automated threat response, and simplified configuration. Apart from that, there are few more things. So let me show you the devices first. Actually, they had three devices, M-200 and M-500. Okay, this is your Panorama data sheet. Okay, so if I talk about Panorama, we have, as I told you, Panorama M-200 series and M-500 series. Okay, these are the two devices we have. Okay, now if I look at the data sheet, so again in Panorama we have few features. Okay, so we'll talk about these all things later, not right now, like uh, simple policy control, and it will provide you centralized management and all. So these are very general things that we already know, right? So this is hardware, means how your hardware capacity, means how capable is your hardware, right? So we have M-200, M-300, M-600, sorry, 500, okay, 600. So nowadays, I think they have discontinued M-500. Okay, previously they had M-500 as well. Because in my environment we were using M-500. Okay, so M-600 is there and M-700 is there. So definitely these two would be your data center series. Okay, and maybe where you have to manage lots of firewalls. Okay, so according to the device, you have different capability, definitely. Okay, so you can see that if I show you this, M-200 and M-300 supports up to 1000 devices. It means if you purchase this M-200 300 series of Panorama physical device, you can manage, means you can synchronize up to 1000 firewalls. Okay, now again, Panorama also, we need to place in active passive scenario. Okay, there must be a backup that we need to think about it, right? So if you purchase M-600 700 series, you can manage up to 5000 firewalls, right? 5000 firewall, it means you have very big network, right? Or a large network, I would say. Okay, so again, it supports radius, LDAP, ACAX, SML, and local database authentication types. Okay, now you can use Panorama through GUI and CLI. This is very common thing. Okay, now CPU, RAM, and all. Okay, now so we can deploy this Panorama to cloud as well, right? For that you will get one VM series. Now let me talk about few more points from this PDF. Okay, so if I talk about deployment modes of your Panorama, so you have three modes. Okay, you can enable this feature on your Panorama, that is a log collector feature. I'll discuss this about in detail. Okay, and this is your Panorama, a general feature or a general mode, I would say. Basically there are two modes. Okay, a basic mode and a distributed mode. So in distributed mode, you have this log collector or action option available, right? In basic mode, I'll show you one diagram. We'll discuss it in detail. Let's not discuss it right now. Okay, so this is your data sheet, and do we have hardware architecture here? Okay, so okay, so after now, once we talk about devices, let us move to the next part. So now we know what is Panorama, right? We have bit idea about it, means how this device works and all, right? So if I show you one image, no, so this is one of the Panorama deployment, right? Now, if you see that, as I told you, Panorama providing you a centralized management, right? So let's say you have one firewall on headquarter. You have few branch offices. Second firewall, this is third firewall, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, right? And maybe you have one more firewall on this data center, right? So what we can do is we can simply manage all of those firewall through Panorama. Okay. So this is your means. If I talk about definition of Panorama, it is providing you centralized management in short. Okay. Now let's move to the practical part. Okay. Now we know what is Panorama, right? Now let me talk about how to use it, how does it looks like, and how we are going to set up the lab and all. Okay. So we'll talk about it. Then we'll discuss about different distributed deployment methods. Sorry, right? So for deployment, I have one image. This image. Okay. This is Palo Alto image. This is Panorama image. Okay. So basically, what you need to do is you need to import this image to VMware player. Okay, which is very simple. Now, what you have to do is simply go to file, go to open, and then you need to browse that image. Let's say this is my image. Click on open. So I generally don't use EVNG, okay, for all these kind of practicals. Okay, I would prefer this VMware workstation because your firewall will run faster here. As per my experience, if you want, you can deploy this virtual this image on EVNG as well. So once you click on import, it will start importing itself. Okay. Now it will take some time. So I have already imported another version of this Panorama. Okay, which is 9.0.1. Okay. So let me go ahead and start that one. Okay. So let us cancel it as of now. So let's say this is our new Panorama setup. Okay. So now next step is you need to make some changes to your adapter settings. Okay. Now there are two adapters that you will get by default. Okay. Now by default you have two adapters. So just configure your first adapter as a bridge. You need to check this box. Okay. And second adapter should be, you can put anywhere, whether it is NAT, host only, or custom, right? Any option you can choose. But your first adapter must be in bridge mode. Okay. Now let's have I've made this in bridge mode. Now what does that mean? Okay, what is the meaning of bridge mode? Bridge means in my laptop I have Wi-Fi adapter, right? Here's my Wi-Fi adapter. So this is my Wi-Fi adapter, and apart from that, I've installed one virtual machine to this VMware workstation. Now this virtual machine also has one adapter. Here it is. Okay. So now this adapter is here. Okay. So if I am making it as a bridge, it means what will happen? It will combine these two adapters. Let's say there is one switch, and with this switch, it is going to connect this and this. It means if we put this adapter in bridge mode, we would be able to communicate with our Wi-Fi adapter. Okay, this is how I'll get internet on my Panorama box, right? Same goes for firewall. If we put first interface in bridge mode, we can make another interface in bridge mode as well. But generally, I would suggest to use the first adapter as a bridge mode, and One more thing we can do that if we make it bridge, what we can do is we can take GUI access from this bridge, right? On our browser, right? On my local machine where I have installed this VMware workstation. Okay. So just play this. Okay. Once you play this, now the next step is once you install this, once you imported this, right? After that, the next step is what you need to configure is you need to configure management IP address. This is our first task. Okay. So by default, if you purchase a management, if you purchase any Palo Alto device, you will get a default IP 192.168.1.99. Okay. And maybe they can change. I'm not sure. Okay. But this would be the IP you will get. Okay. So this would be the default IP. Once you connect your Panorama server, Panorama box or any Palo Alto firewall with a console cable, you need to put this IP and you will get GUI access of the device. Okay. Now let me wait for it. Okay. So it just take 2-3 more minutes. Okay. Now it is up. Okay. Now, so we got this prompt, Panorama login. Okay. Now, so what is the next section we have to take? We have to change the IP address of this Panorama device. Not change. Let's say I want to create a new IP address of this management server. Okay. So in my scenario, what IP address I am going to choose is, so it should be in the same subnet where my Wi-Fi is. So let's say this is my Wi-Fi. Go to properties. Okay, so here are the properties, and on properties you can see that this is the IP address of my 29.113. This is the IPv4 address of my Wi-Fi adapter. Okay, so I'm going to use same subnet. Okay.
Sir, when you said Wi-Fi, that means home Wi-Fi?
Yeah. Yes, home
Okay.
Wi-Fi definitely, because I am connected with my home Wi-Fi only, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So why I'm doing this? So that my Panorama would be able to communicate with the Wi-Fi. If I put both IP addresses in a same subnet, my Panorama will able to communicate to the internet, right? So click on it. By default, the username and password is admin and admin.
All in lowercase, sir?
Yes, all in lowercase. Okay. Now you have logged in. So these are the default username and password. Once you purchase a new box, you need to put same username and password, and we can change it. Okay. So there are few simple and common commands. You will find it over the internet very easily. Okay. So first command is to see what IP is configured on your management interface. So the first command is show interface and management. Okay. Once we hit enter, we'll get this output. Okay. So this is the 192.168.29.222, which is already configured. And you can see that our default gateway is wrong, right? It should be your Wi-Fi IP address, right? 113. So what we'll do is we'll update it. Okay. Now, apart from that, we can see that how many bytes we received, how many bytes transmitted on this management interface. This is your management interface, guys. Okay. So initially, when you have new box, you need to take access through CLI only. You will not directly able to access through GUI. You can do that because there is one default IP configured, as I already told you, right? 192.168.1.99. Okay. So let's change this IP address. So to change this IP address, first we need to go to configure mode, right? Because this is the mode where you can run show command. So type configure, hit enter. Okay, now command is set device config. system IP hyphen address. So instead of putting IP address, let me do one more thing. System type. Now if I put question mark, you can see that we have two options, DHCP client and static. DHCP client and static. Static means if you choose a static keyword, you can manually set up your own IP. If you want to get it from DHCP, so we'll get one IP from DHCP if we choose this DHCP client. So let's make it static. Okay. So this is the first command. Static. Hit enter. Now next command is set device config system IP hyphen address. If you want to define IPv6 address, you need to put IPv6 hyphen address. Okay. Now these are the default IP. Just ignore it as of now. Let us configure a new IP. So 192.168.29. Let's say 121. Okay. Now space. You need to define net mask. .0/24, right? And then default gateway 29.113. So this is my Wi-Fi adapter IP address. Okay. Default gateway. Generally, we configure these three things. That would be enough to take GUI access. Enter. Okay. Now, don't forget to commit here. Okay. Because in this firewall, it won't work like Cisco devices. If you configure an interface on Cisco devices, it would be quickly active, right? It will automatically change the interface IP, right? Means that's a live configuration. But here in case of Palo Alto, that's not a live configuration. If I move back to this point, and if I run this command, show interface management. So the IP is same, 192.168.2.222, right? Why it is not getting changed? Because we forgot to commit the changes, right? So here with Palo Alto Firewall, whenever you are doing any configuration through CLI, GUI, don't forget to hit commit. Okay, so let's move back to configure and then commit, enter. So simple to configure. We have only two commands and we can easily configure the management IP address of this device. Okay, from CLI. And generally, most of the time, we configure this setting and after that we'll get GUI access, and most of the things we are going to, let's say policy push or any other changes, we are going to do it from GUI only, right? So now configuration committed successfully. Exit from here and type show interface management. Enter. Now your IP is 29.121, right? Now it got changed. Okay. 121, right? Now go to your browser, type HTTPS 192.168.29.121. Okay, hit enter. So guys, you need to put HTTPS. Don't forget to put HTTPS. If you put simple IP, you will not be able to get access. You can see that it is keep on reloading, but you are not seeing the Palo Alto page. Okay, but if you put HTTPS before that, enter. Now we got this prompt. Click on advanced, proceed. This is your username. You have to put same username you have to use, admin and admin, everything in small. Okay, click on login. So this is your Panorama dashboard. Okay, this is the first page that you have seen. That is your Panorama dashboard. Okay, okay. So meanwhile it is retrieving for license. Let's ignore it and let's talk about few more things on dashboard. So we have general information. This is your device name. Okay, this is your management IP address, net mask. Okay, default gateway, some general things you have. Serial number is not there, unknown, because this is not the registered one. Okay, so if you work for your company, you will able to see serial number because that is the license one and your company has purchased a license, right? Now you can see we only uh, have one CPU, right? That is your management CPU. There is no data plane CPU, right? But if you see firewall, as compared to this, if you see firewall, a Palo Alto firewall, you will get two CPU information. One is management CPU and another one is data plane CPU, right? But with Panorama, that is acting as a management server, right? Now, if I look at this dashboard, there are few options which is different from your Palo Alto firewall. Now, what is the different? The first option is this context. Okay. Now, if you click on context, it is now it is selected Panorama, right? Once you click here, okay, we would be able to see all of the firewalls which is connected with this Panorama, right? Let's say we have 500 firewalls, so you would be able to see all the 500 firewalls here with a name, with every branch name. Okay, whatever the name you have configured, you would be able to see all of those firewalls. And let's say you want to jump to any firewall. Let's say so here there is no name available, but you can directly click here to jump to any firewall, right? You would be able to directly access any firewall from this context option, right? This is one of the Panorama feature. Now, apart from that, if I talk about these tabs, we have very less tabs. Okay, there are 2-3 more tabs we have. Okay, one is template tab, and there is one more tab, network tab, object tab, which is hidden as of now, because for that we need to enable few features, right? So if I show you one Panorama dashboard, so the actual dashboard looks something like this. Where you have few more options, right? The template and network tab and all. This is the video. So you can see that in this screenshot, we have few more options, right? As of now, we can see dashboard, ACC, monitor, but we have two more options here and two more options here, and one is your final Panorama tab, right? Now, so we did some initial setup, right? for our Panorama box. Okay. So if I go to this Panorama tab, from this tab, what we can do is we have few more options. Like if we go to setup, and these are your journal settings, right? So on journal settings, if you click on this setting icon, you would be able to change the host name. Okay, let me make it JNCIA_Panorama. Domain name, let's say you are working for Cisco.com. Login banner, if you want to set any login banner, you can set it. You can change time zone. Okay, from here. Let's not do that as of now. Okay, serial number and all, you can make changes to these information. Click OK. Okay, so again, as I told you, we always have to put click on commit to push the changes. Okay, now when you click on commit, you have three options, right? But if you see Palo Alto Firewall, and when you click on commit, you only have one option, one or two options. Okay, so in Panorama, you have different options like commit to Panorama and push to device, commit and push. So we'll talk about all of these options maybe tomorrow in tomorrow's session. Okay, as of now, I'm not going to commit it, or we can select commit and push. Okay, actually, we don't have any device connected with Panorama. That is why this commit and push button was hidden, right? But if we click on commit to Panorama, we would be able to do that. Okay, now few points that I want to take from that I've shared in the morning, right? I've shared few topics to our WhatsApp group. So what are those topics? Panorama GUI overview. Okay, we are already done with it. Panorama platforms, we already discussed about it, like M-200, 200, 300, 600, and 700 series of firewalls, right? Now, Panorama solution overview, we'll talk about Panorama commit, not today, because I don't think so. Means that would be, we'll discuss it tomorrow, okay, not today. So Panorama solution overview, now we know how we can set up management IP and all those things. So let me quickly share few more things. Okay, I told you the deployment methods, right? Deployment modes. Okay, so with Panorama, you have two type of deployment mode. Okay, first is basic deployment method, okay, or mode. Okay, so what is happening in that case? Let's say this is your Panorama box, and this Panorama box is connected with one firewall and another firewall. So this is one firewall and another firewall. So in that case, we can simply access our Panorama and simply we can manage these boxes. Let's say second box, third box. Okay, so these 3-4 boxes synchronizing with the Panorama. But here in this case, your Panorama not working as a log collector. Okay, now what is log collector? Okay, your Panorama not only acting as a management server, it also act as a log collector. Log collector means Okay, this is very general question. Okay, when you go to interview, interviewer will ask you what is log collector. Okay, so from interview perspective, this question is important if you know about Panorama. Okay, so now let's say you have one firewall here, okay, and one more firewall here. Okay, so now what is happening, you can see here we have two devices, log collector and Panorama, but basically in physical deployment we only have one device. Okay, now your Panorama box also act as a log collector device. It means definitely your firewall would be able to uh, uh, save lots of logs, right? Even 2 months, 3 months old log, right? But what we can do is with Panorama, let's say, because uh, uh, mostly let's say you have a security team, and in your security team you have 50 people or maybe more than that, right? 70, 80, or maybe 100 people, right? And you want to provide them access. So we are not going to create user on each and every firewall, right? So what we'll do is we'll create a user database on any Cisco ICE device or MS-AD server or anywhere, right? But what we'll do is we'll provide them Panorama access. Okay, let's say you are L2 engineer or L3 engineer, right? So you will get read and write access as well, right? But if you are L1 engineer, so you will get only read only access, correct? So with Panorama, we have same thing. You may get read and write access where you can push policy, you can create policy, you can create objects, you can make changes to the policies, or you can perform upgrades as well. Okay, now with log collect, if you enable this log collector option, what is happening here, all of the firewalls, let's say here in this diagram we have one firewall and second firewall. This firewall sending all the logs to Panorama, and this firewall also sending all the logs to Panorama, right? So this is very simple log collector option. Okay, now apart from this log collector option, we have so many things in our environment. If I talk about a big environment, uh, uh, so for to manage those logs, right, we have lots of things like uh, syslog server we have. Okay, we have one syslog server where we can collect all the logs. Okay, and to manage logs we have few tools like Splunk tool we have. Okay, one more tool is there from IBM, QRadar, right? So that is also a tool that will help you out to manage the logs. Okay, but that is one of the feature of your Panorama, and generally we enable it because if we have Panorama device, why don't we collect the logs? Okay, so apart from that, in our physical firewalls, we also configure syslog servers. Okay, this is your real-time deployment scenario. Yeah, Mukhtar, any question? Okay. Now, if I give you more detail about it, so for that we have one article. Okay. So there are some Panorama log collector requirements are there. Okay, log storage and all. It's not discussed about this, but I want to show you something. Okay, we have one more small device, M-100. Okay, but we have recently seen a latest data sheet, so maybe they have discontinued this device, but this is M-100 virtual device. Okay, so not sure if they still have this device or not. Okay, M500 is there. Okay, in Panorama again we are going to put in HA concept. Okay, one Panorama is in active mode and another Panorama is in passive mode. Okay, so HA concept would be there. Now this is your this is how your log collector is working. Okay, in this image it is showing that, like I already explained this Panorama manager. Okay, log collector sends a copy of the log to another collector in the group. Okay, so what we can do is we can create multiple groups as well. Okay, so who is generating the logs? Your firewalls, Palo Alto firewall generating the log. Okay, we already discussed this, so let's not discuss this. We can create groups as well. Okay, according to firewall, let's say for APEC region, for Asia Pacific, we can create another group. For North America, we can create different group, right? Australia and other firewalls, we can create a different group. Okay, so we can do that. Okay, from these all topics, we are only pending with adding a firewall to Panorama. Okay, so let me show you this option. Okay, so now we know what is Panorama and how does it work, and means what are the deployment methods we and all, right? Now let me tell you how to add a firewall to Panorama, right? So to adding a firewall, there is very simple options or simple steps that you need to follow. Okay, simply on Panorama. So now I have logged into Panorama. Let me close all other tabs, and side by side, let me quickly power on one of my firewall. Okay, so guys, it is very easy to okay, it is very easy to add a firewall, right? Now simply on Panorama, go to Panorama tab. On the left hand side, you have this summary option. Here it is. Okay, under manage devices, you have this summary option. Click on summary. So if I show you this option for production environment, summary, so let's say I have added 1000 firewall, 500 firewall, 600 firewalls, right? So the summary tab looks like this. Here it is. Okay, in summary tab, you would be able to see all the Palo Alto firewalls which is connected with this Panorama, right? Which is connected with this Panorama. So you can see that there is one firewall, lab 197, this one. Okay. Now this is the serial number of that firewall, and this is the IPv4 management IP address of that firewall, right? So in our case, we have to deploy one firewall. But again, for that we need a license, right? So in this Panorama, as of now, we don't have any license. Okay. Now, simply to add firewall, these are the steps. Click on add, click on summary, click on add. Now it is asking for serial number. Okay. So let's say you have serial number. Okay. Let's say, okay, this is the serial number. Click on OK. Okay. Once you click on OK, and again you have to put click on OK, and then you have to commit the changes. So it is showing red because this is not the valid one. Okay. So once you have your firewall, you just have to click put your serial number and click on OK. That's it. Okay. There are two steps here from this side, from Panorama side. Now I'll let me tell you the next step, which is from firewall side. So let us wait for the firewall to power on. Meanwhile, let me show you some screenshots. Okay. So the best resource to read about Palo Alto document is go to docs.paloaltonetwork.com. So this is the link which I already referred everyone, right? Because if you connect with Palo Alto tag guys, they are also going to give you a link from here. Okay. So guys, they have introduced Pan OS 11.0. Okay. That's a new thing in the market for new information, because last version they had was 10.1 H3 hotfix 3. That was the last version I have seen. So now they are launching Palo Alto 11.0. Okay. But for us, if I talk about from training perspective, right, whatever the options we are seeing in this version 9 or 10, that would be very similar to the 11.1. But yes, there are few more options or few things they have updated, right? Because you can see that on 11.0 they have some advanced threat detection and all. Let me show you that. So you can see that they have with this 11.0, the latest upgrade of Pan OS software enhance your ability to stop the most of the sophisticated attacks before they happen. Nova delivers new advanced CDSS with advanced wildfire and expanded advanced threat prevention services, and adds a new Palo Alto series firewall and 50 plus new features. Okay. So we'll see what are those 50 plus new features. Okay. Once they launch this, or once we start getting update on this, right. Once you log into docs.palo alto network, click on Panorama. You will get notes, you will get documents for every device here. Okay. And these are the documents which is always updated, right? So I always suggest to read these documents. I do have some PDFs and all. Okay. But generally I don't suggest you guys, because it might be possible those PDF don't have updated information, right? So this is your Panorama Administrator Guide. Choose version. Okay, 11.0 is also available. So 10.0 is end of life. Okay. So let's not choose 11.1 because it might be possible you will see different options. Okay, get it started. Okay, so we were looking for a simple option, right? We don't want to upgrade firewall management feature and all. So let's move back to tech docs and search that article, how to add. Simple. Now you will get some documents. Click here. Okay. So here you can see that this is the good thing, guys. If you are using means if you are new to Palo Alto, right? And you would be able to see you would be able to find all the configurations with screenshots, right? But if you are managing, if I compare it with Cisco, right? And Cisco, if you find any command, you will not be able to see any screenshot. But yes, they are explaining everything, but you will not see a screenshot. But here in this tech docs, every article has screenshots. Okay, here you can see that. This is the licensing part. Okay, so your firewall and Panorama must have a valid license. Okay, for licensing or is also very simple. Okay, so there is one authentication key that you will get from Palo Alto Tech, right? You just need to put this authentication key and you need to click OK and commit. Simple. And once you do that, your firewall will automatically synchronize with them, with their servers, and this is how we can license our firewall. Now, adding a new firewall, we were talking about this, right? So what we can do is, if we want to add multiple firewalls, we can do that. Okay. If I go to this Panorama option, you can see that download sample CSV. Click on it. This is your sample CSV file. What you can do is, you can let's say you want to add 100 firewalls in one shot. Okay, in one go, you want to add 100 firewalls. So now what you need to do is, you need to put 100 serial numbers over here. Okay, and device groups. Okay, in which device group you want to put. So we'll talk about device group, template, everything in next classes. Okay, collector group and auto push and all. Okay, so in this format you need to put these all details and you can upload this CSV file to the Panorama. This is how you can add bulk firewalls. Means you can add lots of firewalls in bulk through this CSV. Okay, you need to import the CSV. Now, where is that option? You can see that below we have export option. Okay, import is failed. So once you click on add, you will get import option. Now, if I turn on this firewall, again, it will take some time. Meanwhile, let me pause this recording.